Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we're going to be looking at a 1956 Lindberg Republic P-47N Thunderbolt. This is kit number 51198. It's in 1/48 scale or quarter scale, and the box art was done by Ray Gadke. The original issue of this kit was 1952, so this is a pretty early Lindberg kit, and I think this has got an impressive box art on it. So anyway, the P-47N was the final production version of the Thunderbolt. Kind of everything that they'd been testing on it, learned from service, all wrapped up into one. So it was predated by the P-47M, M as in Mary, which had been fitted with a R2800 57C series engine, which had a CH5 supercharger and could put out 2,800 horsepower, and that was a pretty hot engine. It also featured a Curtis Electric C5425 B40 propeller, and could turn 473 miles an hour, so pretty hot ship. There was also another aircraft called the P-47K, that was tested with a new wing to try to get more range out of it. There was about an 18-inch fillet that was added in at the wing roots, and then they ended up clipping the wing tips, eliminating kind of the elliptical curve that was typical of Cartvelli's designs, in order to keep it from getting the wing too long. But inside that 18-inch plug, they were able to pack in more fuel, and so that ended up giving extended range. So they put those two things together from the M and the K and developed the N for long-range escort in the Pacific Theater. So they needed something that could go even further to escort B-29s all the way to Japan. So, let's see, what else? The U.S. Air Force, or Army Air Force, ordered 1,900 of them on June 20th of 1944. The first prototype N model flew on June 22nd, 44, and deliveries began in September of 44. Total of 1,816 were built across 6 production blocks, and orders for 5,934 were canceled when the war ended. The final one came off the production line in December of 45. So in addition to the additional fuel in the wing plugs, they also revised the fuselage tanks and were able to get, I think it was another 60 gallons inside the fuselage. And it was plumbed to be able to carry a couple of wing tanks, 330-gallon wing tanks, so for a total of 660. That extended the range out to 2,190 miles. Realistic escort range, though, factoring in combat, forming up and all that kind of stuff, put it around 1,000 miles, which was superior in range to the P-51D. So a welcome addition to the Army Air Force's fleet of aircraft. As far as the 6 production blocks, the N1 added the additional fin fillet to correct some directional stability issues that were still popping up. There was 500 of those built. The N5 block had tail warning radar, rocket stubs. They were fitted out to be able to use G-suits, and also an autopilot, which came in pretty handy on those long-range Pacific escort missions. Total of 550 of those were built. The N15 model swapped the engine out for a -73. They also added the K-14 computing gun sight, and there was a redesign to the pilot seat. About 200 of those were made. The N20 had revised radio and fuel system, another 200 of those. The N20RA, which was the Evansville plant, was similar to the N20, and 149 of those were built. The actual final P-47 built came from that block from Evansville. And then finally, the N25 had 3 different versions of the 2800, the 73, the 77, or the 81. So depending on what the engine source was on there. And then about 167 of those were built. So that is a little rundown on the N, for those of you who may not be familiar with that particular model of the Thunderbolt. So let's take a look at the kit now. So as I mentioned, we've got this fantastic box art. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. It's done by Ray Gadke. And you may notice that's got USAF on here. So this is a post-war version of the Thunderbolt. In 1947, the Air Force did designation revisions, and P-47s became F-47. So this actually should say F-47 on here. We've got authentic construction kit, 58 parts, and it's by Paul Lindberg. On the side here, we do have the quarter scale here, which is 1/48. The Made in USA, plastic model, information on Lindberg. This side here, fairly similar. Best results, use Lindberg's plastic cement. And on the end, we've got the red, white, and blue striping. The kit number, the 51198. And same thing on this end. Turn it around here. And the box is the old hard box with the printed lithograph wrapped around and glued onto the box. You can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it on here, a little bit of rippling on here. So it's something that you would sometimes see on some of these kits when they were gluing it down. And then we have our instruction sheet. The instruction sheet is copyrighted for 1952 from the original issue. And it's just a large exploded view of the kit. Little tips of trimming off the excess flash. Apply cement both joining surfaces when assembling. Assemble in the suggested numeral sequence. So I guess you're supposed to follow along with these numbers. Your kit number again down here. And looks like you get some rockets and bombs. The models to be painted using enamel only. And nothing on the back. So, well, pretty nice exploded view. Not much for direction. And here we have our decals. And they're kind of yellowed, but you know, fairly nice looking. So this is an actual real aircraft. This is, let's see, this is 4489416 with the buzz code of FE416. And this aircraft was an F-47N-25RE. It was assigned to the 37th Fighter Squadron of the 14th Fighter Group, and these guys were part of the Air Defense Command, and they were based at Dow Air Force Base from about 1946 to about 1948 before they swapped out for jets. They were assigned to the 1st Air Force as part of the Air Defense Command, and they were responsible for air defense of the Northeast. So there is a really nice photograph of this aircraft. So we'll show that to you. But one thing I did notice is that it doesn't have these stripes in the 20 on. So I'm not sure if that was added later on or if this is something that Lindberg added. But the serial number and the buzz codes are accurate for it. So let's take a look at that here. Okay, so let's take a look at our plastic. So we've got our fuselage here. We've got some raised panel lining, a little bit of rivet detail on there. Some representation of the cowl flaps. The tail, fabric cover tail, just some lines. But it's not too heavy-handed, you know, which you kind of associate with a lot of these early 50s kits. This is somewhat delicate. Nothing on the interior, and we've basically just got a box cut out for where the cockpit's going to be. And let's see how our fit is. Get something going here. It's great silver plastic, though. I mean, yeah, they don't make kits in this silver anymore. So our fit's not too bad. Gonna definitely have to use some clamps or something to hold it together, but yeah, it's not too terribly bad. And let's see, here's our engine piece. So our engine's all molded into this cowling lip that pops on the end there. So yeah, it's going to need a little bit of filler probably, or a little bit of trimming maybe might help it. So there's our fuselage, and not much for a cockpit there. In fact, in the instructions, it looks like you just get like a little bench for the guy to sit on. But here, let's look at the engine. A little bit of detail in there. No opening for the intakes. Also, no openings for the exhaust manifolds out the back here, or the dumps on the side. And let's look at our wing pieces. So the wing is molded in two parts. No locator pins on this at all. So you definitely got to be careful when you're putting this together. And we've got some points here for you to be able to put your rockets, the bomb pylon, and the landing gear doors are molded closed, but you do get a set of landing gear on there. You do have some raised panel lining here for the gun bays, and raised lines for the ailerons and flaps. But it gets the shape pretty good. And again, yeah, really nice silver plastic. And here's the other wing, not much different. Spot for the pitot tube, looks like. And the guns are individual for you to set in there. There's our propeller. Little soft on detail, and that hub does not look like that's a very accurate hub. And it's also looking like it's not really a rotating prop either, because you just got this little pin on there. So it's going to be glued into place. So no rotation on that. And not the best looking prop in the world. It's our horizontal stabilizer. Same thing again, raised lines across here. One piece. There's our other one, similar. And what's nice is there's no ejector pin marks on here, which is something I might have expected to see. And what else we got? Here's our pilot. He is pretty weak sauce here. Looks like he's missing a big chunk of him. Like there's two parts that were put together and something's missing. But yeah, not the best attribute of this kit for sure. There's our pilot seat, little bench for a little peg in his butt can sit in. Here's our bombs, and fairly simple. The fins are definitely way off. And let's see what else we got in here. Here's our bomb rack. There's our main gear wheel. A bunch of rockets, and they're all molded with the plus instead of the X, so they wouldn't really launch from those zero rails. Here's our gun barrels. Gotta be careful putting those on individually. And that is our main gear. There's some additional parts. Looks like the antennas, radio antennas, tail wheels, pretty weak. And there's our gear doors. Looks like I can't quite get one. Yeah, there's nothing on them other than just flat pieces of plastic. And here's our stand. The stand is specific to the Thunderbolt. Raised lettering, and here's the top part there. So kind of a dynamic looking stand. And here's our canopy. A nice big fat canopy. Really good raised lines on there. I don't know if the shape is all that accurate. It looks a little bulbous and pretty thick, although there's really not much to see through this. But it does kind of look like it's just a little kind of misshapen. But there you have it. Not too bad of a kit for 1952, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a real good impression of the Thunderbolt. A little bit of details, but not a lot. But nothing really too offensive on here, it looks like. So, let's see. Lindberg issued this a few times. So you had your original 52 issue, which basically looked like this, but a little bit of revision in some of the things that were on the cover here. Then you got this 56 issue, and also in 56 they did their a side opening or end opening window box, to hang on pegs. And then in 58 there was some new artwork that was done of P-47N in Pacific Theater markings, sitting on its gear, also done by Gadke. And pretty nice looking artwork for that one. And then there was a second issue in 58 that was motorized. And again, another type of box art. And that box art makes it look like a P-47D from the European theater. It's got, the paint scheme and markings and stuff that look like an ETO aircraft. In 69, there was another revised version of the boxing, but still motorized. And then in 81, you got a white edge box with the earlier 58 artwork. And then in 81, there was also a Lindberg Venezuela issue of that white edge box. In 86, a classics box with a photo of the built model. 90, another white box with a photo on it. 06, a new revised version of it with a different type of photo on it. And then finally in 2014, there was a 2-pack issued with their Zero, quarter scale Zero as well. So that was kind of one of their nostalgia reissues, utilizing some of the old box art again as a little 2-pack. So neat way of getting a couple of kits for price of one. So that's about it for this one. If you've built one of these, tell us about it in the comment section. If you got one sitting on your shelf, take a picture of it, send it in for us for our next viewer build video, and we'll share it with everybody. Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and have yourself a great rest of your day.